It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Superstation. The station that has 16 of the top 20 prime shows. The station that has a daytime rotation that beats the competition combined. The station that has a late news that beat 80% of the competition's prime programs. To tell that story, here is Bob Hoffman, the National Sales Manager.
Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, Bob.
Hi. Good morning. How are you?
Just fine. Cheers.
Thank you. Important. Who's this from?
Read it.
Joe Frazek. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Also a message from Hollywood and Walt Flynn. What you are about to witness is a concise look at the best television station in the entire Midwest and probably the world. You'll see and hear from the people that make this massive machine work as they share their efforts and goals. We will meet the team that makes it all work. The Vice President and General Manager, Peter Dano. The General Sales Manager, Dick Taylor. The Program Director, Jeff McGrath. The Research Director, Bobby Carson. The Promotion Director, Tim Bennett. But first, the Assistant News Director, Don Vario.
11 years ago, this newsroom was a quieter place. Not as many people, not as much commotion, and only a handful of reporters. Until a distinctive-looking gentleman knotted up his bow tie and sat down behind a new desk. To his left, an eager and intelligent young man who had come from Cleveland, of all places, with clear opinions of the Vietnam War, the Now generation, and country music. Together, this unlikely pair unfurled the banner of something called Eyewitness News, a concept which not only captured a supposedly unwinnable ratings war here in Chicago, but also won its sincerest flattery from imitators all across the country. Today, Eyewitness News is still the longest-running hit in local television, buoyed by a cast of supporting players who are as familiar as some other people's stars.
For those of you in Chicago who have waited for the city to tow away your cars from snow routes, the freebies are over. This is John Kalia. I'll have that live report. Also with a live report, standing by if I can hold on, here's Jay Levine.
Here at CTA headquarters, ice and snow causing monumental problems and heavy delays on all CTA equipment. We'll have a full live report and details on these and other stories on Eyewitness News. Next.
We have now gotten to the point where it's pretty obvious. We have too much snow and no place to put it. We also have too many cars. We can't do anything about stopping the snow, but we can do something about the cars. Like the one that's under here, and like that one right there, and like that next white beauty there.
This is the pitcher's mound at Wrigley Field. The rosin bag is down there somewhere, but Cub fans take heart. Believe me, I can feel the grass growing under my feet already. Al Lerner, Channel 7, Eyewitness News. Yeah, it's down there.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Fahey Flynn.
And I'm Joel Daly.
And here's the latest at 10 o'clock.
The mainstays of Eyewitness News need introduction to no one. Fahey Flynn is familiar to more people than any other television or newspaper man in town. And his associations include those at the very seat of power in Chicago.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joel Daly.
And I'm Diane Allen.
Live at 5, and here's the news.
Joel Daly is an anchor man who refuses to give up the reporter's trade, whether his target is the President of the United States or the audience in a country and western bar.
Chicago police sergeant wounded in a South Side shootout.
Testimony charging police burglaries from an alleged Red Squad member.
If you're a renter and your landlord won't maintain your building...
Terry Murphy and Diane Allen approach their trade aggressively and impressively.
Jay Berry has been taking in all this baseball excitement, and there he is, standing by live at Comiskey Park right now. Jay, are you making it?
Listen, Tim, I'm trying. You're just a wild and crazy kind of guy.
Tim Weigel and Jay Berry in sports are as enthusiastic as baseball rookies at their first spring training camp.
Parker, Arizona, one of my favorite towns, where it got up to 103.
And in the inimitable John Coleman, the erudite Dr. Walt Lyons, and the professorial Dr. Frank Seacrest, Channel 7 presents the most thorough weather information in this city.
And today, would you believe, our official high temperature in Chicago was 54 degrees.
Over $1,678 just in the last week. That's the amount we've gotten back for our viewers.
The people and their work are the reasons for our success. Often, our innovations have become the standards of others. 7 on Your Side has helped thousands of little people in its years of chasing down bureaucrats and con men.
As the cocaine flows north to Chicago, money is going the other way. At one bank here in Bogota, there is a special window which changes U.S. dollars into Colombian pesos. That window is called, oddly enough, the sinister window. And much, although not all of the money changed there, is drug money.
Our many documentaries have traced the path of illegal narcotics from the jungles of Nicaragua to Chicago, and followed homegrown talent to the biggest stages of the entertainment world.
When the bluegrass sings her sad song.
These are transcripts from the Senate Subcommittee on Long-Term Care. These are nursing home regulations which were adopted in 1974 covering nursing homes.
And in the Target 7 unit, Peter Carl has uncovered the horrors of nursing home maltreatment. Personally led to a federal drug crackdown on an illegal heroin substitute, and unraveled the largest single financial fraud in this nation's history.
Most news is fast-breaking. If it happens today, we tell you today. But some stories don't want to be told. Stories that hide from everyone, except Peter Carl.
Peter Carl.
Peter Carl's Target 7 unit takes the time to uncover the cover-ups, sift the facts, and double-check the answers. But at Channel 7, we think it's worth every painstaking hour. Because if Peter Carl can't tell the story,
KYY 278.
It may never be told.
I think I got it, Johnny. I'm coming home.
That Peter Carl promo is just one example of our #1 priority, news. And it begins with setting our advertising strategy down in writing, so we have a good fix on our target. Our strategy looks like this. First, we lead with our strong human values. Next, we capitalize on our #1 ranking. Then we establish that we're a constantly improving news operation. And finally, we continue to build in those categories where we have made progress: professionalism and depth of coverage. We carry out this strategy in 2 main areas: news campaign and news mini-docs, or special reports as they're sometimes called. Here's an example of how our on-air campaign spots complement that ad strategy.
Being the #1 news team in Chicago does have its drawbacks.
Hey, Joel Daly, right? Channel 7 Eyewitness News team.
It's not only that, Fahey. This current economic situation is really getting out of hand.
But that doesn't bother the Eyewitness News team.
And Harry, these are the twins. You're not Joel Daly.
On this lonely field in central Illinois stands a 60-foot tower that can save your life. Inside is the huge radar of the National Weather Service. Linked with our Channel 7 weather computer in Chicago, we call it Skywatch 7. With Skywatch 7, John Coleman and Dr. Walt Lyons can show you exactly where and how a storm is developing. That can save you a lot of surprises, and maybe even save your life. Skywatch 7, only on Eyewitness News.
I think it's going to be tough to do a commercial about me because I don't really have a specialty as a reporter. I like people kind of stories. I like to get into what people are thinking about the world and how they feel about their own life. I've got a lot to learn, I think, but I'm beginning to understand how Chicago ticks. And the more I find out about Chicago, the more I love it. It is, in my opinion, the most exciting, interesting city in the world. And here are examples of how we handle our news mini-docs, reports that complement our professionalism and in-depth reporting goals.
Wednesday at 10, Target 7 goes undercover to uncover the sex sham. Meet Candy, Pauline, and Cindy. They're the bait. And through the mail, their photos and phony erotic letters feed on the money of the lonely. After an 8-month investigation, Peter Carl and an undercover camera crew take you inside the sexual promises and fantasy love of the sex sham. A Target 7 exclusive within Eyewitness News, Wednesday at 10 on Channel 7.
In news shows, the program department interfaces in production, graphic look, and the studio set design for Eyewitness News. Our executive producer, John W. Coleman, administrates the directors, associate directors, and stage managers who execute the programs. In addition, we are the coordinators for facilities and manpower for the programs. 3 full-time artists supply a full line of graphics for each program under our direction. Total news production is a cooperative group effort each day, and programming is an important part of making Eyewitness News #1.
Coming up next, Chicago's #1 news team.
The research department interacts with the news department on a daily basis. Overnight rating breakouts for both Arbitron and Nielsen are now available every morning, and they provide an instant report card for the newsroom. Particularly during key rating book periods, the news breakouts we provide can be helpful in making news decisions. Through our day-by-day rating breakouts, providing year-by-year trends, research supports news in its continuing effort to remain the #1 news station in Chicago.
Watch Daily and Ellen News at 5.
Now I'll let you in on the secret of Eyewitness News. We are #1 not just because we cover Chicago, but because we are Chicago. In the ranks of those of us who decide the news and those who cover it, you'll find people who grew up on city playgrounds, went to the public schools, and still choose to make our homes in the real neighborhoods of Chicagoland. In short, we know what makes Chicago tick, what turns Chicago on, and Chicago, in turn, keeps turning us on. At 5.
This is Channel 7's 5 o'clock Eyewitness News for Tuesday, May 1st, with Joel Daly, Diane Allen, Dr. Walt Lyons Weather, Jay Berry live from Comiskey Park with sports, plus special reports from Fred Villanueva and Karen Kalish.
At 6.
This is the 6 o'clock edition of Eyewitness News with Fahey Flynn, Terry Murphy, Dr. Walt Lyons with weather, Tim Weigel on sports, a live report from Jim Gibbons, special reports from Jay Levine, John Kalia, and Karen Kalish.
And at 10.
This is Eyewitness News at 10 for Monday, May 7th, reported tonight by Fahey Flynn and Joel Daly. John Coleman with weather, Tim Weigel on sports. Also tonight, Operation Energy. Conservation begins at home.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Fahey Flynn.
I'm Joel Daly.
And here's the latest at 10 o'clock. Tonight, 2 students at the Vandercook School of Music on Chicago's South Side are in Michael Reese Hospital. They were injured seriously in an explosion as it ripped through the school.
We'll be watching that race tomorrow night, and we'll be in northern Indiana to report live on the primaries in Gary, Hammond, and East Chicago. That's tomorrow night. That's it for this Monday night. I'm Joel Daly.
I'm Fahey Flynn. We'll be back tomorrow at 5, 6, and 10. Good night.
The program director is responsible for the total on-the-air look of WLS-TV. This responsibility is executed through our assistant program director, executive producer, art director, film director, public affairs producer, and others. The program department is the hub of the station. We create the program schedule on which all departments operate. In addition, we produce all local programs outside of news. AM Chicago, our daily popular live morning show, is continuing to inform and entertain with a mixture of variable subjects and guests in a contemporary format.
Good morning, everybody. A very special show today on AM Chicago as AM goes disco.
Our weekly Friday night show explores Chicago happenings, the issues and the trend-setting personalities of our time. In public affairs, WLS-TV leads the market in concepts embodied in our Weekend Edition series of Umbrella magazine shows. Each program covers a wide area of issues and events pertinent to the urban living in the 70s. Vernon Jarrett's Face to Face explores a black perspective of current events.
WLS-TV and the University of Chicago present Perspectives.
Our weekly public affairs series embodies the resources of the University of Chicago in examination of our political, social, and economic problems. Cabbages and Kings explores the social viewpoint of our major religious organizations. In addition, WLS-TV produces a series of primetime public affairs specials, documentaries that take an in-depth look at the functions and problems of our major institutions, political systems, and society. WLS-TV programming also produces special event programming from time to time for entertainment and nostalgia that captures the uniqueness of Chicago.
This is Wilson and Broadway, the heart of Uptown in Chicago.
Before World War I, Chicago was called the Warsaw of the West, the second largest Polish city in the world.
We must be the night with 1,000 eyes, neither sleeping nor slumbering. We must agitate. We must go to the courts. We must go to the suites. We must go to the streets, but we must agitate.
Jesse just spreads himself too thin. I mean, there are periods when, from edition to edition of the newspapers, you don't know what Jesse's going to be talking about. An issue arises and he rushes in with a press conference to have his say.
The programs.
In the Chicago area alone, there are 90,000 women alcoholics, and the percentages are rising every year. Not because there are more women drinking, but because more women are finally seeking help. We'd like you to meet two women who've been there. Jan Clayton, actress, mother of 4, model for all-American momhood on the Lassie series until the death of her oldest daughter pushed her over the edge into alcoholism. Margaret Fleming, former Chicago teacher, mother of 3, a woman who thought an alcoholic was a bum on Skid Row until it happened to her. Take a close look at Margaret and Jan. Maybe you'll see someone you know.
The button means to me a successful
group of people coming together to share their own interests and their diversifications.
I was really uncomfortable with Oak Park All-American. It said this is a closed, white, middle-class suburban community with beautiful, spacious lawns, law and order, where things are pretty well prescribed as to how they're supposed to be, and it really doesn't allow for the kind of vitality and interaction and energy that I would like to see in this community.
Where's the tire? Come on, stay. Cash, please.
Chicago's Park West, it's Channel 7's 30th anniversary. With Fran Allison and Bert Hillstrom, Fahey Flynn, Joel Daly, Lauren Green, Jim Moran, Marty Fay, Sandy Freeman, Jim Conway, Carmelita Pope, and Stud Circle. Channel 7, 30 years. Channel 7, 30 years. Channel 7. 3 decades of great entertainment, news, variety, music, and comedy. Scenes from Super Circus with Mary Hartline, Doc McNeil's Breakfast Club, Kukla, Fran and Ollie, Stud's Place, and Record Hop. 30 years of Chicago news, talk shows, commercials, and the most hilarious bloopers this side of Captain Stubby and the Buccaneers. All this plus a special sneak preview of the exciting year ahead on ABC.
The Total Look. And each and every day, Chicagoland sets its clock to the 3:30 movie.
Thursday at 3:30, she's Countess Dracula. She's after blood, the blood of young and beautiful girls, and will get it anywhere she can, even from her daughter. Countess Dracula, Thursday at 3:30.
When the Boys Meet the Girls, Friday at 3:30.
Our 3:30 and weekend movies are one of promotion's biggest challenges. In many cases, we're asked to take films, many of which have run on the network several times, and wrap them in a new package to give them a fresh, new appeal. Here's an example of how promotion helped a bunch of baboons drive Chicago's ratings right up a tree.
Oh, yes, we holic on the bananas. We holic on the bananas today.
We got any week of movies, a great week of doozies. So tune in, you'll say, okay.
Okay.
Oh, yes, we've all gone bananas. We've all gone bananas, hooray.
Monday, Go Bananas as a man tangles with a bunch of atomic baboons in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Monday at 3:30 on Channel 7.
Now, if it's felt that a movie is strong enough to stand on its own, we'll let the movie sell itself through a technique like this.
It's The King. All this week on the 3:30 movie.
The sand is an empty work of art. Stop where you are.
Elvis sways and plays in Paradise Hawaiian style. Tuesday at 3:30 on Channel 7.
And that's only the surface of our on-air movie effort. From there, we do a complete set of 10-second promos, 3-second IDs, and 30-second spots for every 3:30 movie and Saturday Late Show. 52 weeks a year.
It's the man of your dreams, the irresistible Paul Newman and the lovely Sophia Loren in Lady L, Wednesday's 3:30 movie on Channel 7.
In addition to providing programming with their own rating report card for their local shows, Research contributes an historical perspective as well. Our library contains volumes of books recapping rating performances of all the local movies that have ever aired on WLS. We supply access program analysis, and we've coordinated subjective audience research studies to assist them in their scheduling decisions.
In conclusion, the program department operates as a full-service unit. The assistant program director, Ann Levine May, is responsible for movie bookings, administration, and license renewal supervision. Executive producer John W. Coleman oversees the entire creative staff of the station, including producers, directors, and staff assistants. He is in charge of our look and the content of our shows. It is our job to initiate specials and concepts for today, as well as set the standards for the future.
Now that you have a little insight into our creative strategy, what about our media plan, and how does it rank with the competition?
Sometimes you don't always get what you pay for. And that can be a real problem.
We got the set home when the knob came off.
All right to me.
But the picture's upside down.
Looks all right to me.
To begin with, we have a locked-in on-air promotion schedule that gives us approximately 100 GRPs per day. That's a sizable schedule that's worth several $1 million a year and puts the promotion department among the top 3 advertisers on our station. Next, we have the most aggressive print advertising of any station in town by almost a 2-to-1 margin. Our 2 major dailies, the Tribune and Sun-Times, along with the TV Guide, reach over 70% of our SMSA viewers. You won't find that kind of penetration in any of the top 5 markets. To give you an idea of just how aggressive our print is during a given sweep period, you'll see Channel 7 ads like these every day of the week promoting our 5, 6, and 10 p.m. newscasts. The other stations are competitive, but not as consistent as Channel 7. Radio and Transit round out our media plan, a plan that complements a creative package and together form what I believe is the most potent promotion punch anywhere in the country.
In addition to our constant interrelationship in the promotion and publicity of all programs and movies, the program department provides the creative and artistic services necessary to execute our vast number of promotional spot announcements. The programming department also works at close hand with the promotion department in the creation of ideas which can effectively market our movies, utilizing trend-oriented concepts including nostalgia, the craze over Star Wars, Superman, and the upcoming revival of Star Trek.
An extra effort has been made in the last year to increase Research's involvement in the advertising and promotion area. We are working with NWAIR, WLS's ad agency, developing and implementing research projects that test our advertising's effectiveness. From mini-docs to 3:30 movies to news campaign ads, both print and television, Research assists the promotion department in deciding the selection of the media, the amount of media weight, and the creative messages needed to promote WLS as the best station in town.
And the Creative Services Department is proud to be part of the best station in town. Special projects come under the umbrella of this department. Projects like our special support for Roots and our fall premiere presentations. But those projects are a pleasure, because when it's all said and done, we're still the one.
As you have seen from my involvement with the other departments, our department is basically a service area for the station as a whole. With the library of information we've accumulated, we're able to supply not only a historical point of view, but also to project future trends for all the departments. Additionally, we have the responsibility of coordination of the quarterly station visits and the annual field report that our news consultants prepare for us. As you'll see in a few minutes, on a day-to-day basis, most of my department's time and efforts are happening in the sales area.
You've just met our department heads and seen the on-air talent at WLS-TV who help make your job easier when you sit across the desk from a buyer in New York, Detroit, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Baltimore, Dallas, or any of the great number of other cities where you represent us so well. A lot of people get stirred together to make us the best television station in the country, and you've just met a bunch of them. Sometimes, though, things help you do a better job. And one such thing for us is the bias system. We went live with the bias system in late August of 1978, and we found it to be an excellent tool. Let's take a look at the system. Once your order is written up by Barbara Dill or Lois Garvey, one of our very talented sales service people books your order by typing it into a CRT terminal like this one. A 10-spot per week order over an 8-week period takes about 7 minutes to book, including a printout of the exact placement of each spot in the order. By contrast, under our old manual system, the same order would take about 2 hours to book. Your spot rotations are determined by the computer to assure maximum horizontal and vertical rotations. In simple terms, we tell bias that we want 2 3:30 movies and 1 early news per week for 5 weeks. The computer will schedule the spots so that you will get exactly 2 exposures on each day of the week in the 3:30 movie over the 5 weeks, and 1 spot on each day of the week in the early news. Incidentally, the computer will not schedule the 3:30 movie and early news spots on the same day. Product conflict codes assigned by sales service prevent competing products from being scheduled in the same break. Once the order is booked, the commercial instructions for the entire length of the schedule are added to the system. The computer will then follow whatever pattern of commercial rotation has been described by the agency for the entire length of the contract. The bias system generates our log, prints our contracts and invoices, schedules spots in perfect horizontal and vertical rotations, prevents back-to-back product conflicts, and unerringly rotates copy to the correct schedule positions. Soon, the stored schedule information in the bias system will drive our automated switching system. Through various computer-generated reports, we have a nearly instant look at sold versus unsold inventory by priority level. We have sales projections by agency, advertiser, or salesman, and a base rate report which tells us how we're doing based on our revenue plan. I think you ought to quickly meet the people who make this system work for you. Barbara Dill and Lois Garvey are your eyes and ears. Barbara Hetzer, our sales service manager, and her staff, Betty Wilder, Trudy Redmond, and Gail Rock, Margot McLean, and Mike Mulcair, who is our operations manager. As I said before, it's people who make it work, and I believe you've just met the best there are.
They're selling everybody, and I simply talked to him and I said, hey, when we were in the same position CBS was in, we used to sell our best shows, but you know what? You run out of people because all of a sudden you fill it up and where do you go?
Dave McLaughlin is responsible for guiding our local sales staff. Take a good look at these folks because a lot of them will be joining you very soon in spot sales.
One of our goals is to train and prepare good people for ABC TV spot sales. People that can replace you as you move up to bigger and better things. In the last 2 years, WLS has sent 7 people into spot sales. Almost 50% of the New York spot sales staff is WLS TV alumni. We're proud of the fact we promote good people and we intend to continue. Our current team includes our senior sales guy, Thelma Lyda. Thel has been with WLS for 16 years, 9 of them running sales service in the national desk, 7 years in sales. Lynn Cohen is a 2-year All-Pro veteran at WLS-TV. Before coming with ABC, her background was print and radio. She's done an outstanding job at WLS-TV over the last 2 years and is ready for spot sales. Bob Epstein joined WLS-TV just over a year ago from the CBS affiliate in Louisville. He has a great sales record and eventually wants to become one of the spot guys. Our resident crazy is Don Stauber.
Yes?
Is there a downstalling foot Kong and building here?
Oh. Hi, Debbie, it's Don. Is this the deal we talked about yesterday that we negotiated? Okay, armor dial soap.
Don's been with WLS just under a year. He has a heavy TV background. He started as a trainee at Metro, sold locally at WFLD, Telerep, and TVAR before coming with us. Mike Turner joined WLS in the 4th quarter of 1978. He was a first-round draft pick and one of the top salesmen at the ABC affiliate in Pittsburgh, WTAE. Louise Smith joined us in December of '78. Most recently, Louise sold at KPIX in San Francisco. Before that, market development and retail at CBS New York and ABC FM spot sales.
3 spots instead of 1. And then
our most recent acquisition is Steve Shoy from ABC's WDAI FM in Chicago. Steve's goal was to get with ABC television. He's glad to be here, and we know he'll contribute a lot. This local staff accounts for 55% of the total dollars on the station. With the addition of Doug Sallows, our retail marketing manager, we'll expand that figure even more. Well, that's our lineup, a fairly new lineup with all of our promotions. But this class of '79 at WLS is ambitious. Some of these people will be wanting to move on, so you keep the system moving. Get promoted.
Thelma, I wanted you to see these overnights. Look at these news numbers. You think maybe you could call some of your buyers with those?
Oh, great, Bobby. Thank you very much.
Sure. Our contribution to the station becomes particularly obvious when we get to the sales department. Research prepares sales promotion materials for the buying community on a regular basis, always giving the sales force another reason to get in the door. We prepare everything from one-sheets highlighting our overnights to more elaborate pieces showcasing the latest rating books. Our involvement in rating projections is one of the keys to the sales department's success in both packaging and in establishing a rate card. Research has been involved in agency presentations. We're well-versed in TGI studies, TVB research, and special projects commissioned from either Nielsen or Arbitron. We keep the MIS computer system constantly updated for the sales force, and we are available to offer assistance in avail preparations. All in all, research supports sales, and we like to be available for constant analysis of all the station's key selling rotations.
You have met our talent, our department heads, and your sales service team. All of them working very hard so that we can say WLS-TV is Chicago. You know, Channel 7 is a Chicago landmark, like the Marshall Field Clock, the Wrigley Building, or the Marina Towers. Now I want you to meet the man who pulls it all together, Vice President and General Manager of WLS-TV, Peter Dano.
Thanks, Dick, and you're right. WLS-TV is a Chicago landmark. And here at Channel 7, we have a tradition that we're quite proud of. If an issue is important enough for us to offer an editorial comment, then it's important enough for us to go where the issue occurs. Our editorial director, Bill Campbell, was born and raised in Chicago and knows Chicago well. And that's why over 90% of all WLS-TV editorials are produced on location, in all parts of the city. Like here on the lakefront, one of the hundreds of locations at which we tape every year. Going out into the community to do editorials brings WLS closer to the people of Chicago. I'm Peter Dano.
That was an editorial by Peter Dano, Vice President and General Manager of WLS-TV. Superstation. This is Channel 7, WLS-TV in Chicago.